Now, the idea with this session is to really explore the opportunities and the critical challenges in developing and deploying climate robotics technologies to address climate-related issues faced by countries and communities in the majority world. What we want to do is get into a number of different topics, including creating an enabling environment for local entrepreneurs and engineers, advocating for locally led applications of climate robotics, and also managing power dynamics and partnerships with actors from the minority world, or quote, global north. I'm now joined on stage by some really wonderful colleagues who are also on the advisory board of the Climate Robotics Network. I'm going to introduce them very quickly, and then we'll have them speak for themselves. I'm just going to do a check because I know Grace may be having some challenges joining us. I don't know if you're on right now, Grace. If so,
I'm here, Patrick. Good
oh
evening.
wow. Okay, amazing. Thank you. So, well, we have Grace Oluchi from Climate Action Africa. We've got Suma Reddy from Riffle Ventures, Bikash Gurung from the Robotics Association of Nepal, and Olusola Ayoola from Robotics and AI Nigeria. So I'm going to invite each of my colleagues to briefly introduce themselves and what they're working on, and then we'll jump into some initial questions and invite all of you to chime in with your questions and observations. So please do post your questions in the Zoom chat so that our team leads can then highlight them during the Q&A. So over to you, Grace.
Hi, Patrick. Thank you so much. I'm trying to start my video, but I think because of the darkness, I'll probably see if I'll get it on later. Good evening or good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. My name is Grace Oluchi. Like Patrick said, I am one of the founders and executive director of Climate Action Africa, and I'm really excited to be here. I just want to say, Patrick, this has been really amazing. I've been learning a lot, taking down a lot of notes, and I'm really excited. And I'm so happy that we're having this session just after the pitch session, because then it gives us really interesting things to talk about in terms of that disparity between the global north and the global south. So I'm really excited to be here with amazing people in the industry, and I look forward to amazing conversation. Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Thank you so much, Grace, and hopefully the power comes back on your side. Suma, over to you.
Thanks, Patrick. Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here. My name is Suma Reddy. I'm the co-founder of Riffle Ventures, and our mission is really around unlocking climate innovation. So our goal is to catalyze, guide, and build climate solutions for the majority world. And we do this in two ways. One is through what we call climate ecosystem design. And that's really working with existing ESOs or entrepreneur support organizations to build climate programming and workshops. And the other is to build ventures. So as an example of each, on the first, we're running a pre-accelerator program in Louisiana. We're working with folks looking at the UAE. We're working with an ESO in the Central Valley of California, folks in Latin America. And the first venture we're building is called Gather, which is really around building accessible robotic technologies for farms and farm workers with a double underline of accessible. So again, majority world is our focus.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. So now bring it over to my colleague Bikash out of Kathmandu.
Hi, everyone. Good evening from Kathmandu. We are on the late evening. So this is Bikash. I'm the president of Robotics Association of Nepal. It's a not-for-profit, non-governmental organization working to promote and develop robotics here in the country. We work with the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology to develop robotics and AI policy, robotics and AI programs all over the country. We are also working with lots of development agencies to work on climate robotics solutions such as like AI-based early warning systems, drone-based services, and definitely robot-based rescue systems. And we are also working with education system to promote about different evolving emerging technologies in the schools and we work with private sectors to develop robotic solutions. So it's like being an association. We work with all the different verticals, and now we are partners with global robotics clusters, Chinese Institute of Electronics, Korean Association of Robotics. So from Nepal to the global world, taking out all these demands, requirements, or voices in the globe.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Olusola, over to you. Thanks for joining. You might be on mute. I think you might still be on mute, though.
Hello. I'm not quite sure if you can see me because I can't
Yes.
see myself right there. Okay, cool. My name is Dr. Olusola Ayoola. I am from Nigeria, and I am the founder of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Nigeria. What we do at RAIN is that we develop curriculum for training in AI and robotics. In Nigeria, we don't really have a university program for robotics because the closest you can get is mechatronics. But many people, want to be equipped enough to solve problems for the industry, particularly for the agricultural sector, for the environment, and all of that, using robotics. So what we have is a curriculum that helps people to grow from just a mechatronics degree to the actual AI and robotics advanced knowledge. We do that in a one-year program, and that's what we've been doing for the past 5 years now. And constantly we learn, we upgrade our curriculum to make sure we cover the entire spectrum of what it is. Beyond that, we also support companies, to solve local problems, because sometimes agricultural farmers, for instance, they have the challenge of insecurity, and they want to have a system that can alert them when there's like a herdsman attack coming in about 2 kilometers away from their farms. As you know that in Nigeria, we have that challenge of Boko Haram and the likes. So what we do is build for them drones that can help discover what's happening, using AI and computer vision across the farm space. So we are trying, and we are kind of working in collaboration with government in some cases, international organization in other cases as well. But then there are challenges, and that's why I'm glad that we're having this discussion so we can actually, solve some of them by interacting. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Doctor. Really appreciate you joining us as well. So we're gonna kick it off with some initial questions and invite everybody else who's here to chime in on the Zoom chat. Maybe just continuing from Grace's point. So we've just seen 10 back-to-back pitches from climate robotics startups, and the vast majority of those, and the mass majority of the climate robotics startups that we've mapped on our global map come from the so-called global north. But of course, the global south, as we have seen already, and we're seeing more, is facing the biggest impact from the climate crisis. We know about that disproportional impact. So I have a number of questions for you to kick off. What kind of policy recommendations should there be to redress this kind of asymmetry? And given that there's a lot of the tech and the hardware is coming from the global north, do you feel like there's a need to also have that manufacturing base also in the majority world? Or is it better to say, well, you know what? No, let's focus on the services. Let's focus on the applications of these robotics solutions, regardless of where they're coming from. And maybe it's a false choice, right? Feel free to also say, no, that's not what it's about. What we have seen in terms of the use of drones, aerial robotics, in terms of climate action, we're seeing all these technologies coming from China, the US, and so on, and then are being used, and applied in Nepal and Nigeria and so on. And we're not seeing as many drone manufacturers. But what do you think about that? Like, should there be a core expertise and a base for manufacturing of climate robotic solutions in the majority world, or should we focus on the services, or is it actually not that black and white? So maybe I'll start with Grace, if you're still here.
Yes, I'm here, Patrick. Thank you. And I'm so happy you asked that question. And the answer is, as much as it's not black and white, we definitely need that manufacturing strong base in the global south, because we are currently a consumer economy. And what that means is everything is 3 times more expensive. And I know that the software is important in all of this, but then when an innovator, and Shola will probably speak to this in his work, if you have to spend 75% of your budget buying the hardware from the global north, then it takes away from the equation and you cannot really do the work. And I think, like Shola even mentioned in his intervention, our current school systems, the current environment does not even enable people to be that for us to develop the hardware, and then there's limitations in the transfer of knowledge and in the transfer of technology from the global north to the global south. I mean, we always have these conversations when they're like, okay, yes, we want to ensure that we can train people locally, we can do this, we can do that, but at the end of the day, we find that it is wanting when, if you even lease or give me a machine to use, or you give me the hardware to use, and I do not even have the rights to repair that, which means you're taking away that entire, I mean, it's it's ridiculous, I would say, but there has to be policy that fosters that infrastructure, that fosters the hardware to be produced in the global south. That there has to be that. Even when we go, because I'm core climate, as opposed to maybe a lot of people on the call that are focused on the technology part, I'm core climate action. And when we look even at the Paris Agreement, which is what we're pushing and everybody keeps referring to it, there's a clear line there in terms of transfer of technology that is currently being, I don't know, for lack of a better word, is currently being ignored, because we just see a lot of the global north companies wanting to do work in the global south as opposed to empowering indigenous technologies to actually solve those problems, because there are a lot of nuances that locals and indigenes of that area would understand. Shola talked about the Boko Haram crisis. I promise you, I don't know who you are. I don't care how much data you have. There is a level to which you would be able to address that problem with robotics and technology that Shola would bring to the table that you would not have. So the conversation has to be around policy that enables us to strengthen that infrastructure base, that hardware base, and also, you know, there has to be a balance. There has to be a trade-off. We're open to welcoming technology from the north and the big techs and all of that to say, okay, bring this, use this, it works. Be open enough to take suggestions so that we can improve it and adapt to make it work better. But also we want to have that, it has to be a right for us to say that, yes, I want it, and yes, I can do it, and yes, I have it, as opposed to this is what is going to happen. I'm going to stop talking now because we could go for a while. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Fantastic insights. Lots to say and agree with that too. So we'll go with Suma and then Bikash and Olusola to chime in. If you have something you want to speak to that, you're not required.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from, I mean, the perspective of us developing, right, a technology in the global north and thinking about, right, how do we move that through different parts of the world, you know, a robotic solution. And for us, it's, you know, it's simply in, you know, partnership, right? So we know we don't have 95% of the answers. All we have is a product, and the product is in an early stage, and we don't know anything, right? And so for us, it's really identifying partners who are going to have the patience to have these conversations with us, share their knowledge, share what's realistic on the ground, cost structures, you know, crop types, what does the ground look like, what the use cases are, if anything's happening, you know, in the bigger picture perspective, right, regionally or nationally, that we need to be aware of. So yeah, I think for us, that's what our approach is.
Thanks for sharing, Suma. Well said. Bikash.
Yeah, Patrick, like for countries like Nepal, and also if you think of like South Asian countries, including India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, we are actually only addressing our basic needs. And we have not been able to innovate. But when we look at the challenges that we have here in the country, or even in this whole region, more than like 650 million population are getting affected because of this climate change issues. There are like more than 30,000 climate disaster events. So we have our own unique problems, and for that, we need to have our own technology base. We cannot always depend on global north, or even definitely there is China in the global south, but it's still like China is China, but it's still the countries which are nearby, they when they are dependent on other countries, we cannot solve our own problem. So that has been a long time. So I think one of the reason why our countries has not been able to develop is because of the lack of this base, science, technology, and innovation base. And for that, we could always, I always say, like, we could always start by having assembling plants or machines, which could help us at least adopt to this newest of the technology. As soon as like we could start creating the market and creating the business around it, I think we are good to go for the manufacturing as well, because we have our local needs. If you have been to Nepal, right? So Nepal is a mountainous country, and it has its own geographical structure. So that is not matched by other countries. So for us to have our own customized product, we need to have such kinds of manufacturing base. And for the policy recommendation, I have been always suggesting Nepal government to work on our own robotics and AI centers, or institutes that could develop the local solutions. Government has to invest. For our countries, we were there in 10 different pitches. So the $10 million is a good money or big money here in the country. So government has to invest. The local companies cannot invest money to develop a robotic solution that can go and help people during different disasters. So even the Nepal government or global south has to partner with the global north, and try to come up with national programs, or cross border programs, which could help us in international learning exchange, technology transfer. I think that is how the collaborative effort would eventually help us grow the old technology scene, and also definitely we are talking about climate robotics to grow the climate robotics scene.
Right. Very, very good. Excellent. Thank you very much, Bikash. Dr. Olusola, thanks for your patience. You have the mic.
Thank you so much. Everyone has said great things, and I just want to add a few more things. In my country, Nigeria, we have our peculiar challenges. One of it is logistics. If you're working in the UK or USA and you're building a project and you need something from China, because most times we have to order from China anyway, it's easy to just order and it gets to your doorstep. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get it. But in my country, even if you're ordering from a different city, you have to go to the nearest, let me say, the motor park where the drivers stop, and then you have to call the driver's number to ask for your item. So that means that any single robotics hardware project can be so stressful for anyone to manage in a country like Nigeria. So policies that must be brought in has to start from logistics. Before we can now talk about are we having enough demand? Because you would be surprised that manufacturing giants, in the global north, may not realize that they have the market in this kind of countries if they don't see enough demand. But then the demand has been affected because of logistic challenges. So people kind of give up. You tell someone, can you build me a drone in 5 days? And it's like, how am I going? It's going to take me 3 months to even get the parts and all of that. So it makes it look like we're not ready, whereas we are ready. And how do I know we are ready? The few people that have this knowledge and are working so hard on this, immediately they can showcase their talents. They get, brain drained, or they get taken away from Nigeria. They get to countries where they find it so easy. For example, I did my PhD in Manchester and my postdoc as well. And it was so easy to start and finish projects, because all you need to do, come up with your list of items, go on rs.com, or any other website. Buy what you want, and in the next 3 days, it gets to you. You make a mistake, you order again. But then when I came to Nigeria thinking that, you know what, let me replicate what I've been doing back home in Nigeria, I found out that just to order for anything from China, it might take 3 weeks to get to you, and you might actually miss your house because they might not call you from the postal office that you've got a package and things like that. Sometimes it gets returned to China even, and they'll tell you that, well, they tried to deliver it, but they couldn't get to you. So policy has to do with making it easier to deliver items within our countries. And once that is done, the demand will be high, and then countries abroad can see that, oh, looks like we have people ready to use our facilities, and then they can bring it. But the second policy I think the government should introduce is warehousing. I feel like some items cannot easily be shipped to Nigeria. I don't know why. For example, batteries. You want to build a system like a drone and you want LiPo batteries. It's so expensive to buy here in Nigeria because it's too expensive to ship it. You cannot get it unless maybe 60 days. It has to come by ship, by actual cargo shipment. So that's the challenge. If we can have a warehouse system, I'll tell you one example. Raspberry Pi, in about 2 years ago, to get Raspberry Pi in Nigeria was about, I will use our local currency, was about 120,000 Naira because there was no Raspberry Pi warehouse in Africa. And then a year ago, Raspberry Pi designated an African region and the general manager for the African region that could make sure that local markets in Nigeria now have Raspberry Pi delivered to them directly from the Raspberry Pi company. So today, Raspberry Pi that used to be 120,000 Naira is now 40,000 Naira. Now, that makes it easier for people to say, you know what, I'm going to use a Raspberry Pi. I can do my project with this. Beyond that, it had to be companies that could afford to buy in bulk that would ship their own packet, their own loads of Raspberry Pis. And I think warehousing this kind of things, not just for Raspberry Pis, but for every form of components that are useful in IoT, in any smart system, and all that, will really help make it easier for us. Otherwise, we're just going to keep having the youthful population that want to learn, but cannot even showcase what they have. And that's the challenge. Thank you.
So powerful, and exactly the kind of insights that the broader climate robotics space needs to be really, really aware of. I mean, each of your contributions has just been incredibly powerful, and I love the quote, "We are ready," and that's what I see every time I speak with my fellow colleagues and experts across Africa, Asia, Latin America. They're more than ready, yeah. And it's time. So we're gonna make this session a full hour session next Climate Robotics Summit 2025. It's clearly there's a lot more to be discussed here. I want to maybe just close, and there's going to be continuity with the next session on policy and ethics for sure. So if you're able to stick around and contribute to that session as well, that would be amazing. Maybe just to close, a one sentence closing remark from each of you, just on a hot take, something that you strongly believe in that maybe is not shared by most on this planet, not to be provocative for provocative sake, but something that you deeply believe in, genuinely, authentically, that you feel that most of this space has just not understood. Maybe we'll go in the same order. We'll go with Grace and then Suma.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you everyone for sharing such great insights. My last minute would just be, it's about partnership, like Suma said, like Shola said, we are ready, and like Bikash said, we are at the point where there needs to be that balance and that trade-off between inviting this partnership of what happens in the global north to marry with the global south, and also strengthening the ecosystem that exists here on the continent and in other developing markets. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to a full hour session or 2 sessions next year.
For sure. Bet you can count on it, Grace. Thank you. Suma, over to you.
Yeah, I think one thing we need to happen is to forums that say, what's the innovation coming from the global south that the global north needs? We need to flip the conversation because there is a lot of innovation and even robotics and other solutions. And yeah, I think we need to completely flip how we're talking about this.
Right on. Awesome. Bikash.
I think, the global north has already been in collaboration with global south because lots of these programs from FCDO, USAID, that they come to global north, and I think we have been beneficiaries. I was just checking out the project like RAIN, which has like $40 million in itself, implementing in the country for climate robotic solutions are coming in. I think now it's also time, as Shuma also mentioned, like, it's both way around. There are innovations in the country that can go to the global north, and there should be the innovation that are already from the global north that can come to the global south. And I think from the projects like this or the partnership that organization like FCDA, USAID, UK Aid, or embassies are bringing in, I think they should come to this country and implement test, because we have this unique geographies that are valuable for everyone.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Dr. Olusola, you have the final word.
Thank you. I just want to say something. The world is intrigued today by artificial intelligence, and we can see what that has done, making life easier. But the real problems of this world will not just be solved by intelligence, but by the capacity to effect the actual changes. And that's where robotics comes in. So I want the world to at least embrace robotics and give it the necessary push across the world, locally and globally. Thank you very much. And like Grace said, we look forward to full session where we can actually break things down. Thank you.
Right on. Absolutely. This has just been incredible. Thank you so much to all of you. Deep expertise, deep insights. This is exactly the kind of input that we need to know about and pay attention to, and to work with all of you. Such an important discussion to have in the context of climate robotics and climate technology more broadly. So a big thanks to all of you once again.